great. Yeah, it was really good.
How cool is that?
I love it. Okay.
No.
And I'm going to open the regular city council meeting for June the 18th, 2019 at 7:34. The meeting is open. Let me call the roll. Councilmember Nakamura,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lindemood,
Here.
Councilmember Wheat,
Here.
the mayor is here, Councilmember Dodson,
Here.
Councilmember Kelly is out of town on business, so he's not here. Councilmember Rigney.
Here.
Also need to say the city attorney is ill tonight, so he's not with us, but we can get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Or city manager can take care of it.
I don't know about that. Pushing it.
So we always open with invocation. Pastor Katie Newkirk from First United Methodist Church. Hi, Katie. Thanks for coming. And then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you all stand, please?
Let us pray. Gracious God, as we come together for the City Council meeting this evening, we thank you for this opportunity to meet together on behalf of our city. We give you thanks for our City Council members, our Mayor Newton, and our city staff for their faithful service to the city of Colleyville. And tonight, as we celebrate the CHHS baseball team and their accomplishments, we give you thanks for their hard work over the past couple of months. God, we thank you for this city. It truly is an incredible place to live, work, and serve in. This evening, we lift up to you our city council. We ask that you'd give them wisdom and guidance in decision-making. We pray for the Colleyville citizens, that you would help us all to walk in love, peace, and joy all the days of our lives. We lift up to you our police officers, firefighters, and EMT workers as well. We ask for your provision over them as they serve our city. We pray for your blessing and guidance over the agenda items at this meeting. Let it be a constructive time that we work together for the good of all people. Help us to love one another and treat all with dignity and respect. All of these things we ask in your name. Amen.
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 Face the flag. I pledge allegiance. Thank you, Pastor, for coming, and appreciate everyone coming and being here. We have a lot of guests here, and we appreciate you guys being here. As I always do, we have several items on the agenda tonight that will have public hearings. Anyone is welcome to speak at any of those public hearings, and so I encourage you to do that if you'd like. There are agendas in the back. If you need to see the agenda, there's cards back there that you can fill out, and if you want to speak and say what item you'd like to speak on. But I will not close a public hearing without asking if everyone has spoken that would like to speak. So we encourage you to do that. So we have just been in executive session, as we always do, and we're moving to agenda item 2. That's the first thing that we have to do when we have action to take coming out of executive session, and tonight we do have 2 actions to take. So these will be 2 separate resolutions that will have a reading and public hearing, and then after that we'll get to the announcements and the proclamations and recognitions. So the first one is reading and public hearing on resolution R-19-4392, a resolution approving council action regarding executive session items at the regular city council meeting of June 18, 2019. Whereas following discussion in executive session and in full accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council determines that the following action is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the City Council hereby authorizes and approves an economic development reimbursement incentive agreement with Ram and Rusdy Investments LLC in an amount not to exceed $35,000 for demolition of existing buildings and structures on the real property located at 5150 Colleyville Boulevard to prepare the property for construction of a Chick-fil-A restaurant. The city manager or his designee is authorized to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the foregoing economic development incentive agreement, and it is so resolved. Adrian, you going to speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor. Adrian Lothry, Assistant City Manager. As you mentioned in the executive session resolution, this economic development incentive agreement is for $35,000 for the demolition of the site. You read off the address, but for folks at home that may not be familiar with that property, it's the former Londoner location there on State Highway 26. This economic development grant provides for assistance in the demolition of that building in preparation for ultimately a new Chick-fil-A building to be constructed on that site.
Very good. So we have alluded to this for a while, although we couldn't officially say Chick-fil-A. So I'm glad to see us moving forward. And council have any questions or comments?
I just need to give clarity because being in the demolition business, I've had several questions to me. Yes, I was the low bidder, but once we found out that the city was getting involved, I made a public commitment not to get involved in any city-related demolitions. So even though I was low, I backed out of the way, so I will not be participating in this. So I just want transparency out there on the live video for everybody to see.
Okay, very good. So you may have said this, but just a little bit of a clarification again. So this particular economic development grant is for the owner of the property?
It is.
Who will have the Chick-fil-A has a lease with that owner?
Yes, they have
And-
recently finalized that lease, and
Yeah.
part of that lease requires the property owner to prepare the site
Be
for
clear.
development, which requires the demolition
Okay.
to occur at the expense of the property owner, which is why we're entering into this agreement now with the
Right.
property owner as opposed to with Chick-fil-A directly.
Okay, and so we fully expect, once that's done and Chick-fil-A is ready to start building, that we'll be talking about this one more time with Chick-fil-A
We
about
do.
some types of incentive.
We do. We anticipate discussion of a separate agreement with Chick-fil-A.
Okay, very good. No other question by the council? Then I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. I don't have no cards because no one knew this was going to be up here, but if you'd like to speak on this item, please just so indicate, and you're welcome to come up and speak. I see no one indicating that. Therefore, I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Motion is in order.
I move the adoption of Resolution R19-4392. Is that correct?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Yes. We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Dodson, a second by Councilmember Rigney.
Oh, Rigney?
Okay, that'll do. So we're going to vote on this electronically, Ms. City Secretary, correct? That's correct. So if you'd open vote, we'll vote. And you may show it when you're ready. That motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you. So we'll move to the second one now. This is Resolution R-19-4392-1, a resolution approving council action regarding executive session items at the regular city council meeting of June 18, 2019. Whereas following discussion in executive session and in full accordance with the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, the City Council determines that the following action is in the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that the City Council hereby authorizes a real estate acquisition in the amount not to exceed $180,000 plus associated closing costs for 4 parcels of real property located at 76 Main Street. The city manager or his designee is authorized to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to effectuate the foregoing real estate acquisition, and it is so resolved. Mark's going to speak to this.
Good evening, Marion City Council. Mark Wood, Assistant City Manager. The property you mentioned is here on the slide before you. So the property we're talking about is a 10,180 square foot parcel of land just adjacent to the plaza that's currently under construction out in front of here of City Hall within the village. It's at the northwest corner of Main Street and Village Parkway. The city received an appraisal on this property last fall. The appraisal came in at $204,000 or $20.04 a square foot. We have negotiated with the current owner the price down to $180,000 or about $17.68 a square foot. So the intent is to purchase this property and to make a public improvement on the property, which would be additional parking. There were some spaces that were taken out with the construction of the plaza. So the intent is to add those spaces plus additional ones back into the village overall parking. We receive frequent calls and comments from business owners within the village that additional parking is needed. And so this is a effort to help satisfy that need within the village. This project will be funded with TIF funds. Land acquisition is part of the original project plan for the TIF, which was approved in 1999. So this is just carrying out that vision of the TIF that was approved many years ago. So again, the request is for approval of up to $180,000 in associated closing costs for the purchase of this property.
Very good. Just some additional information. Also, as you've already said, this was one of the original project plans in the TIF, so it qualifies under the TIF funding. Also, when this whole village was zoned, which was done in 1999, this entire village, actually at that time, I was up here at that time, so I know the detail, was deficient in parking spaces by 138. And so when we put the plaza in, right there where it says plaza on this graphic, we will wipe out 20. So this is an effort to do what we can to add back some parking down in the center. Although there's lots of parking on the edge, a big parking lot, there's little parking in the center. So that's the reason that we're doing this, kind of a strategic move to help that out. The other thing that's important, someone could ask the question, well, land in the village has VOA, Village Association dues each year. And so, glad you're here. So the expectation is that we, in building a parking facility, which will be a public structure to the benefit of everyone, the city will not be obligated to pay those dues while that public facility is there. If that public facility ever goes away and the city sells it or for a commercial property or something, then those dues would come back. And you're shaking. I'm pointing it for everybody's eye. He's one of the board of directors, and so I wanted to say it nod of the head. So we're good.
That's correct. Mayor, so the annual dues on this property would be $9,600.
Yeah.
So we've met with the VOA Property Owners Board to talk about an agreement to waive those fees.
Yeah.
Similar to the structure that's in place for the plaza.
Right.
The city receives a waiver of fees for those parcels because of the public improvement.
Yeah. Very good. Council have any questions for Mark? Very good. Thank you. So I need to have a public hearing. I want to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please indicate so, and you're may welcome to come up and speak. I see no one indicating they want to speak, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. The motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-19-4392-1.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Wheat, a second by Councilmember Dodson. So would you open the vote, please, ma'am? And you may show it when it's ready. Okay, that motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you very much. Okay, now we can move to agenda item number 3, which is announcements, proclamations, and presentations. So the council typically has announcements to do. We'll do that first. the thing that I will comment on, which I typically do when we have the information, is on sales tax. The sales tax this month, the sales tax is always 2 months in arrears because we don't get that information for the state except 2 months behind. Assistant City Manager Mark Woods is going to give us a financial report later today, and he'll talk more about this, but the latest data we got, the sales tax is up about 5.3% compared to last year, which is one of the things that we always look at, so that's a good sign. It's kind of been vacillating around. You can comment on that later. But anyway, it's going in the right direction. And we started kind of paying a lot of attention to this when 26 started because everyone expected to have, for 26 to have an impact. I don't know if it does or not. It's not, if you look at the data. But nonetheless, we paid a lot of attention to it. So that's all I wanted to say. Other announcements you may.
Yeah, I have one for this Friday, the 21st, is the Stars and Guitars with John Michael Montgomery. He has 2 decades of #1 hits like Baby Be My Baby Tonight, Love the Way You Love Me. The city manager is looking at me right now like he wants to karaoke a song right now.
No, sir.
Come on now. Okay.
No, he wants you to ask him to sing.
No.
So should I say something
doing
like,
announcements
hey, pretty
on it.
lady, would you give me a sign?
There you go.
That's all we
You
do.
don't sound like you came from Chicago when you said that.
Good job.
But anyways, it'll be held at the Colleyville Center on the North Lawn. It'll begin at 8 p.m. And this year, we're going to have the fireworks show. It's going to be a great time. You can line up and get on to a spot at any time. Put your chairs out there if you don't have a table. Go in between the fence and the banner that's around that lines the creek, or on the backside. The only reason we have the banners up right now is to keep you from falling in the creek. You're more than welcome to bring whatever you want to drink or eat, and that includes your alcoholic beverages within reason, right, Police Chief? Yeah, all right. So, yes. So anyways, if you have any questions or whatever, you're more than welcome to call 817-503-1161, and I'll see you there this Friday night.
Me too.
And to add to that also, excuse me, I have no voice. Had too much fun last week. The city of, we're running a Facebook contest that you can go backstage and meet John Michael Montgomery. All you need to do is go on our Facebook page and put your favorite song on there. And you need to do it by Thursday. Is there a time on Thursday, Aaron? Just by Thursday?
By noon.
By noon, oh, it says that. Entries are due by noon on Thursday, and winner, they'll all be put in a little pot, and somebody will be picked out, and you can go backstage and meet John Michael Montgomery. So get on there, like it, and put your favorite song. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot one thing. The winner must be a Colleyville resident. Follow the Facebook page, but of course you have to follow the Facebook page if you
Gotta-
comment on it.
Gotta state the rules.
You got to do it quick.
That's right, gotta do it quick.
Okay.
So also, because of our exciting concert on Friday, John Michael Montgomery, the farmer's market that we had started about a year ago now has been on Thursday afternoons, and it won't be happening this Thursday because we'll be busy setting up for the concert. So do miss it this Thursday, but come back next Thursday. It'll be, I'm sure, as great as ever. And then we also have some exciting events and event planning going on for the fall. So the staff is currently working on a new event for the fall, and it's in the planning stage. And what they're thinking about is a fine arts fair, a fine arts fair that would include local artisans. And as part of this activity, we're looking at a wine tasting event where we would also invite our local wine providers to participate. The event is likely to be held in November, so more news to come. And if you have any ideas or questions, let us know.
Okay, the next item is mosquito arbovirus report. The Tarrant County Public Health Department regularly tests for West Nile mosquitoes in collection samples around the state, around the county. And so far this season, 1,349 mosquito pools have been tested with no positive cases of West Nile virus found. If a virus had been detected at a single test site on 2 separate occasions within the same season, the trap location will receive targeted application of adulticides and will continue to do so for the remaining duration of the season in response to additional positive virus samples. With a confirmed human case or 4 mosquito samples in one location, the city manager is authorized to initiate a larger application of adulticide utilizing truck-mounted fogging equipped to apply within a public right-of-way. And then secondly, as many of you know, maybe all of you know, there was a fire at 32 Village Lane. I imagine the firemen local here are definitely aware of it. It was a very significant fire, and it's a total loss, I believe. Anyway, the city is working with the owner of that location to remove the damaged structure within the next few weeks. The delay in removing the structure has related to the fire department investigation process. As our department has completed this process, the structure is tentatively slated for removal on June 30. And that's all I have.
All right, and I just wanted to announce that the Webb House is nearly complete. If you have a chance, drive by the Webb House at Bransford and LD Lockett to check out the newly renovated structure. Landscaping will be completed in the coming weeks, and the trail connection and public restroom facilities will be open soon. Excited about that.
Great. Very good. That's all the announcements. We have 3 more things to do. It says 2 on this slide, but it's actually 3. The first one is presentation of Medal of Valor to Colleyville Fire Department personnel by and Fire Chief Cantrell. If you'll meet me down there, then we'll start that. The second one is we have a featured business of the month, and the third one is we have the state baseball champs here, so we're going to talk about you guys. Appreciate
Wow.
you coming. Oh, and I forgot. We have a very special guest here, Daniel Thomas, who is the mayor for a day this year. Daniel, how are you? Why don't you come up here? You're mayor. Need you to help me out. So you're here for the...
I'm here for my Boy Scouts. I have to be at a city council meeting.
Great. You do better than that. You've presided over this meeting. So I want you to come up here and assist me. So for you guys that don't know this, every year we have a Mayor for a Day contest and select one, and Daniel was our Mayor for a Day this year, so I told him, not just really a Mayor for a Day, he gets to do stuff throughout the year, so you've done a great job. So Chief, I'm going to turn it to you right quick, let you start this.
Daniel did bring me cookies one day after he was Mayor of the Day, so he's now officially my favorite mayor. Just kidding. My name is Mark Cantrell. I'm Fire Chief in Colleyville. I've got the honor tonight to do something that most fire chiefs never do in a career. I get to give 3 members of our department tonight the Medal of Valor. I'll tell you a little bit about it in a second and a little bit about what they did. But just a little bit of history is, to our knowledge, no one in the history of Colleyville Fire Department has ever received this particular award. And there will be 3 of our members tonight getting it. So it's a very special thing. Generally comes from something through a life-threatening situation, so it's not certainly anything you want to happen, but certainly something you want to recognize when it does. The Medal of Valor is awarded to fire personnel for outstanding work involved in great risk or act of nature, such as bringing honor or recognition to himself, the department, or any individual receiving a wound, serious bodily injury through honorable circumstances in the line of duty. This award is also presented to members of the department who perform the rescue of another person in the situation where the threat of loss of life to the rescuer is extreme. This is a higher award given in the fire service for personal acts of bravery. On Wednesday, May the 8th, 2019, at 4:30, Engine 243 and Battalion 24, Battalion Chief Tim Folden was on duty that day, so he's up here to help me recognize these guys, responded to a reported structure fire in Keller. After arriving, Fire Engine 243 was assigned a position known as RIT. And this is not something you normally want to do, because 99.9% of the time you're standing in the front yard waiting on something to happen that never does. So it's kind of one of those moments where you kind of got to step back and start assessing some things. And the RIT stands for Rapid Intervention Team, and it's a crew on scene whose only directive is to find lost and downed firefighters. So it's something you hope never happens, and typically never does. And so, fortunately, the team is rarely needed. Unfortunately, they were needed on this day. At 5:06, crews working on the second floor became disoriented and felt that the floor was beginning to deteriorate. Within seconds, the RIT team was activated. Engine 243 entered the house, headed toward the second floor where they encountered thick black smoke. The poor visibility made rapid location of lost firefighters difficult. Engine 243 searched the second floor of the structure, attempting to find the lost firefighters. The RIT crew were able to find the lost firefighters and help evacuate the structure. All of their combined actions took less than 6 minutes, from the time the Mayday was called until the time the firefighters exited the structure. After the incident, Battalion Chief Tim Folden conferred with members of Truck 581 and verified that they were disoriented to the point that they were unsure that they would be able to exit structure. While the humility of the crew of Engine 243 leads them to downplay the gravity of their actions, there is no doubt that they are deserving of the recognition by receiving the Colleyville Fire Department Medal of Valor. Captain Robert Stewart, Engineer Robert Simpson, and Firefighter Martin Mendoza, who couldn't be with us tonight, went above and beyond the normal call of duty, entering the structure that presented them an environment dangerous enough that other crews working became lost and feared for their survival. This group worked bravely to find the missing firefighters and return them to a safe environment. So I'm going to let Chief Folden read this, but I'd ask if Captain Robert Stewart and Engineer Simpson would come down.
This Medal of Valor is awarded to Robert Stewart and Robert Simpson. We, the undersigned, do hereby proudly present this Medal of Valor for outstanding work involving great risk. Regarding the rescue of another person in a situation where the threat of loss of life to the rescuer is extreme. For their valorous work in rescuing lost firefighters, awarded on June 18th, 2019. Signed by Richard Newton, Mayor, Jerry Duque, City Manager, and Mark Cantrell, Fire Chief.
Hey, don't run off yet, guys. I gotta say something. I mean, there's just not anything that we can say, or we can't thank you guys enough for putting your life on the line every day for all of us. I mean, it's just amazing to me that our first responders in this city are so excellent, and because we have example after example of literally life-saving events in this city. For y'all, I say this every chance I get. Last year, first responders saved 5 lives in the city. Another example, helping our sister city out. So you well-deserved. I'm glad you got it. Thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
They're very humble. They never want to talk. Very good. Thank you guys so much. Oh, we need picture. We get. Wait a minute. I don't know if we didn't get decent pictures. Come back. Come on up here. Daniel, come down here. All right. Wait a minute, Daniel, we're not done. We got 2 more things to do. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to have a June featured business of the month, and today we're recognizing Rad Joy. So Jackie and Rick Drew represent that company. So we come on over. How you doing? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. So your company, Rad Joy, is an online retailer of practical products that focuses on prayer. Right? So I'm going to let you talk about that a little bit. You've been in business for how long?
3 years. This actually just came up past 3 years this past May.
I want you to talk about your company. Adrian, do you want to say anything?
We just want to say thank you for being here in Colleyville. This is such a unique business, and we would love for more people to become aware of it, and we appreciate you making this investment in our community. And it's not very often that we get to recognize some of our home-based businesses, but we just had some conversations here recently recognizing that so many of our Colleyville-based businesses are actually more home-based businesses, and are thrilled to bring attention to what you all are doing. It's such a neat product that you all provide for everyone, and want to recognize you all as our Business of the Month and present you with, and give you a minute to talk about everything that you offer and what folks can find when they shop at Radjoy.
I'll start us off. Everybody can hear me? Is it okay. First, you want to talk first?
No, she couldn't hear. She couldn't hear.
All right, very, very good. Well, Mr. Mayor and council members and prefect, thank you so much for having us here this evening. Congratulations to the baseball team and as well as, I guess, Chick-fil-A now for. We just want to thank you so much for the honor to be here. We're very humbled not only to be awarded this award, but also to just opening up this council member in prayer, and it almost takes my words away from me. I'm kind of stumbling over my words now. I'm very humbled to be here this evening. I want to thank you all so much for having us. We have a few gifts just to kind of show things around. I'm going to grab one here in a second and play Vanna White, and I'll let my wife take over a little bit more about our story.
So just going to share a little bit about our story. About 3 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom, and Rick was working at a local oil and gas company. And we just felt like we were at a season of unrest and started praying very specifically that God would open doors widely or shut them loudly. And on May 3rd of 2016, he did that when Rick lost his job. And we felt like he was leading us to start our company, Radjoy. And so Rick makes all of these. They are wooden surrender crosses, and the nails come out of them. You write down things that are burdening you and nail them to the cross. And so it's just a physical way to let go. And it is our mission to create products that help people practically surrender to Christ. So we make prayer cards and prayer guides and things like that.
I think that's just super. Well, thank you. I'm going to have to set it down for 1 second. But it's very interesting, and Pastor, isn't it? Don't you love this? So you're really, truly entrepreneurs, and I really, no, you are. The reason I'm saying that is we've been talking for a little while in the city about, and with the Chamber of Commerce, about creating an entrepreneur center. Because we have so many people in Colleyville that have businesses or own businesses or starting businesses, and we think that is where business development is truly going. And so we wanted to participate in that. So you are a good example of that, actually. So thank you for being here. Glad you're in Colleyville. Glad you're doing what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, Tammy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I wanted to say something because I put them up for this honor because of something that happened. When I was running for office this last time, I was out walking houses, and I had just gotten out of the car, and the first house that you walk on a day is very hard because you want to see what the feeling is like. And I walked up to this house, and first of all, I knew what a blessing they were when I walked up, and it was Easter time. And they had the cutest house I've ever seen for Easter. And they had a cross, and they had and it was like, oh, it felt very light, and I walked up. Well, Rick and his father, Rocky, I think that's Rocky back there, isn't it? Is that right? No, I couldn't see him back there. And they welcomed me. Actually, they wouldn't even talk to me unless I came into the house. And so I went into the house, and they actually just moved from Grapevine. So we got them from Grapevine. Sorry, your loss, Grapevine, but our gain. And it just struck me on what their story was and what a blessing they were, and I just felt that they needed to be recognized because we want to help them in every way that we can. And I want to thank you all for your hospitality because I can see what type of a people you are and what type of a business. And as the mayor said, we love these kinds of stories, and we'll do everything in our power to help the business. You bet. Thank you very much.
Get a picture?
Picture.
Thank you very much.
And now, we can talk about the state baseball champs. So coaches, would you guys come up? And Principal Lance, would you guys come up? Alan McDougal. And I will readily admit right up front, we all got our wires crossed a little bit about when we were going to do this. And I'm saying that, come on up. Normally I have a proclamation to give to you. I don't have that. We will get it done and get it to you, though. Coach Alan McDougal. Oh, thank you, guys. I mean, I want you to tell us a little about your season, about your baseball team, and we're going to get those guys up.
These guys will come up. That's who we're here to honor. We're certainly thankful to be a part of that. But as they get to come up, this has been a group that has had some things circled over the last few years, and the expectations were great for the adults and the kids in this situation, and for that to be taken advantage of, and them to be able to accomplish what they did and have these gold medals around their neck and be the last one standing is certainly a tribute to them and their families and just how they've been brought up in this area. So it was such an honor to run through the year, and then as we've gotten some publicity through some of the players that we've had, and as the team has run through it, it's been neat to. I mean, Colleyville is certainly on the map, but it has been in the news and front and center in Texas high school baseball for most of this year, and then certainly lifted up to a pedestal a couple of Saturdays ago as these guys were crowned the 5A state champions.
So your season was 30-2? 39-3. That's great. You beat Georgetown for the championship, 14-2. That's super. You want to introduce the rest of the coaches and players?
Absolutely. I'm going to let these guys need the opportunity to speak and introduce themselves to you, but I'll certainly, our principal, Dr. Lance Gropel, one of the greatest supporters of kids and athletics and just an awesome guy to work for. And then the two varsity assistants here are Coach Chris Haney and then Coach John Pavliska. And without these guys' leadership, I don't think this thing ends up where it does. So I'm going to let Bobby Witt start us off, and then these guys will kind of introduce themselves and tell you what they've got in store for them.
I'm Bobby Witt Jr. I played shortstop, and now I'm part of the Kansas City Royals organization. I'm Parker Freeman. I played third, and I'm going to A&M.
I'm Jacob Guerrero. I played outfield, and I'm going to go play baseball at University of New Mexico in the fall.
Max McKiernan, going to UNT, and I played catcher.
Jagger Heapson, I'm a sophomore. I pitch and catch, and I got 2 more years of Panther baseball.
I'm Jacob Berger. I pitched and played right field, and I'll be attending Dallas Baptist University to play baseball.
I'm Everett Owens. I played second base, and I'll be attending the University of Texas at Austin.
I'm Jacob Rodriguez. I play outfield, and I'll be attending CHHS next year.
I'm Austin Thorpe. I played second base, third base, and pitcher, and I've got 1 more year as a Panther.
Mason Greer. I played third base, and I'm going to Auburn University next year.
I'm AJ Smith. I DH, and I'm a sophomore, so I got 2 more years.
I just want to congratulate all of you guys. You've done a fantastic job, and this is really amazing. I really want to thank you and appreciate you coming. And Mayor Pro Tem Linda Mood wants to talk. He's got lots of notes. That's why.
No, I just wanted to recognize these guys again. They were 37-3 throughout the nation, right? Ranked number 3 in the nation? In the nation. So these guys played really hard. And I just want to recognize these guys because I've watched a lot of these guys grow up. We've been together for a long, long time. My daughter goes to the same school with these guys, and she graduated with you guys. We hung out and done a lot of things. And to watch you guys grow and do the things you've done in baseball, it's all commitment. And you guys committed to do the right things. And it takes a full family to do this, not only with your coaches, but your families out there in the audience. And I know the hours that you spent out there, the workshops, the G29s that you've done. I mean, it's a great thing to see you guys grow and to go there. And this right here is what? First in history, right, for CHHS? So that's a big deal, right? So, yeah, absolutely. I got one question. What does DUDES mean? What was the acronym for that?
So dudes, you want me to do that, Guerrero, or you want me to do it? Okay, I got it. All right, dudes represents our core values. So these guys got together really a little over 4 or 5 years ago and put what it looks like to be a member of the Panther baseball team. And when we came up with these words, we arranged them and said, we want to have something that we can remember, and it just came out that dudes was it. So dedication, dedication, which is commit regardless of how you feel. Uncommon means that common people get common results. Discipline is do right. Effort is dominate the day, and then selfless is we over me. So those are the things that is tangible when someone asks what it's like to be a Panther baseball member. It's to be a dude, and we've been able to kind of answer that question, and it's been an honor to do that. And these kids are asked in the community, what is it like to be a dude? And they get to give that same answer. And for a kid to talk to another kid about that is really special, and it just builds a great foundation of little kids to come up, and they know what a dude is, and they look forward to being a dude one day for whoever's serving this thing. So it's a really neat question to answer.
So we know that 3 guys on here were drafted by the MLB. There's a couple of humble guys up here. One was 37, one was 35. Number 2, all-stars. We got a National Player of the Year. But, you know, these guys are signing some stuff. I just want to know, with the greatest coach of CHHS baseball, do you see your contract extending anytime soon?
You're going to have to ask the guy to my left.
Well, I think that he needs a contract extension, too, because he's one of the greatest principals I've ever seen. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. Congratulations.
Bobby, I got out of this guy's talking to you. Have him explain those shirts, because I don't know if everybody knows the shirts.
All right, so one more thing that we do in the fall, we do a book study through a guy by the name of Brian Johnson, who has what's called a philosopher's note that's about a 10 or 12-minute summary of a book. Well, the book was Pursuit of Perfect, and one of the main topics was appreciate, and it was a double meaning, which means to gain in value as you progress. So we were hoping to get better as we went through this year. And then the other one was to be thankful for all of the things that we are given. And that's where the appreciate came from. The 192 is the distance from our parking lot to the parking lot at Del Diamond in Round Rock. So when you throw something out there like that you're going to rally around, I mean, there's not a room for second place. So we threw it out there, and these guys rallied around it, and it was something that was really neat to tweet out every night as we went through this journey, and was nothing better for me to say than in Abilene that when we got to actually get on the bus and we're going to travel that 192 miles. So
wow.
That's the meaning of that shirt.
Okay, so Mayor's been mayor for four times, right? And he keeps forgetting 5 times. This is 5th time. That's right. He just got reelected. He keeps forgetting to take pictures. I haven't been mayor, but we're going to remember to take pictures. So you guys come together and let's take pictures. Can we take one with the coaches and then with the parents as well? All right, let's do that. I don't want to stand in the front.
Don't forget the little thing.
I'm working on it. I think maybe this time next year. Joey is so immersed in that A&M culture now, it's hilarious. It's changed him so much. Awesome. He was always kind and quiet anyway, but now he's like, just sounds smarter. Yeah. And he's happy. He says it all the time now.
I'll sit on your shoulder.
My wife says it all the time now, too. I never said it before.
You don't sound like you're from somewhere else.
look so young. Look at Daniel in the middle, and Daniel's like, this is awesome. He's like, this is awesome. Yeah, like it's the best. Everyone else comes in like, Daniel's like, I'm going back. Great job. That was really nice. Great job, Bobby.
there it goes.
Very nice. Very nice.
It is fun to do stuff like that. It
Wow.
is. Great. One of the
I'll tell you.
Perks
Good
of the
job, Daniel.
job. Yeah, good job, Daniel. Thank you for helping. Appreciate
You're a baseball guy.
you. Okay.
Talk about dedication and a plan, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a plan from the beginning. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's super.
Yeah, we
Great.
could all take
Yep.
that to heart, I'll tell you.
Right. Okay, so we will now move to agenda item number 4, which is a consent resolution, reading in public hearing. Resolution R-19-4393, a resolution approving city council action under consent items at the regular city council meeting of June 18, 2019. Whereas city council has taken action on certain items on the agenda under consent items. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Colleyville, Texas, section 1, that the agenda decisions approved by city council action under consent items as follows are hereby adopted. A, approval of the minutes of the regular city council meeting of June 4, 2019. B, approval to purchase 43 X26P model tasers in an amount not to exceed $53,192 from Axon Enterprises, Inc., and declaring the X26 model taser currently in use obsolete and providing for destruction. C, approval to change the funding source for the Stormwater Master Plan project. D, approval of a professional services agreement with Garver in an amount not to exceed $97,303 for the design of the supervisory control and data acquisitions project, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement, and it is so resolved. So, Chief, did you want to comment on the tasers for the public?
George.
What?
We got the slide. Do we know? There it is. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Michael Miller, the Chief of Police. Tonight, we are coming in front of you to ask for permission to purchase 43 tasers, model X26P. Right now, our department carries the model X26 on our belts, and Axon, the company that makes taser, has phased out this particular model. It will no longer be supported after 12/31/2019. And so we are in a position to have to purchase new tasers for the team. Our anticipated cost of replacing those 43 tasers is $53,192. And we have funding available in our current budget due to salary savings that we can fund this immediately. We just need your permission since it's over $50,000. And then we will declare these, since they're no longer supported and the company will no longer back these models, we can't sell them or give them away to another agency, so we will declare them as obsolete and destroy them. Any questions?
Any questions?
Just one quick question, Chief.
Yes, sir, we will try them on you. We will actually let you, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm ready. There you go.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure I could stand it, but anyway,
You could.
I was just wondering, is this purchased through some state program or some national program? Because I didn't see any bidding.
Yep. There's really only one manufacturer of these types of weapons, and that's Axon. So the price is what it is. There is no state program, there is no contract, and there is no competitor at this
Great.
point in time.
Okay. Thank you.
We, just so you know, there is a later and greater model that's out there that's significantly more expensive at this point in time. And we think that we can balance, instead of spending twice as much as we're spending, we can spend what we're asking for here and still get the same capability. We don't need all the bells and whistles. We just need another tool. This is one of those tools on our tool belt that's It's a non-lethal weapon. We hope to never have to use them. As a matter of fact, we haven't had a taser deployment since I've been the chief here. But we want to make sure that our officers have that capability in case they get in that situation. Again, it's a necessary thing we hope we never have to use.
Yeah, and I noticed also on the documentation that there's no warranty.
Correct.
But I assume that's not an issue.
So we looked at a bunch of different possibilities, and we have had the same model, this X26, for about 7 years.
Wow.
And we have replaced one of these actually in the last 7 years. So we would have to replace about 10 or 11 of these to actually make it worth the cost of getting the warranty on this. And so we think if we need to, we can purchase additional ones at a cheaper cost to the city.
Much less. Well, that's great.
And the X26P actually is more robust, better, deals with the weather better, the batteries are better.
Sure.
Everything's a little bit better than what we have.
And they really hurt, I'll bet.
They do. I hope I will retire if I have to do that again.
But
I do have a video.
You had to do one, right? You had to do one?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You have to, if you carry one, our policy is that you get tased. It's important that you know what it feels like in case somebody ever gets that weapon away from you.
Yeah, I did see the video. My grandson is now a Dallas police officer, and I saw his video of getting tased. I wouldn't want to do that.
That's always a fun highlight reel.
Everybody likes to watch them.
Tased or the spray? Pick one.
So I am in this minor camp. Most people would say, give me a taser all day long. It's 5 seconds and it's over with. I hated it.
Yeah.
I did not like the feeling of it. I'll take a spray.
Oh,
Yep.
that's how tough he is.
No, I don't like either, let me tell you. I don't like either.
Don't let that boyish grin fool you right
Yeah,
there.
no, it's just it's a rite of passage.
No, that's great.
Any other questions? I'd be glad to answer.
It's
Very good.
super.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Did you want to comment on this?
Let's get it.
Oh, raise. Okay, super.
All right, Mayor, council members, good evening. Reyes Reyes, Director of Public Works. I'll be speaking for items 4C and 4D. For item 4C, in July of 2018, a professional service agreement was approved for Kimley Horn to prepare a citywide stormwater master plan. At that time, the funding source for that service agreement was the drainage fund. I'm here to seek approval to change the funding source for the stormwater master plan from the drainage fund to the TIF fund. The TIF plan does include a funding mechanism for drainage-related projects. The stormwater master plan does fall within the scope of the TIF plan. This funding change will allow for the drainage budget to go further with drainage projects that will be identified through the stormwater master plan, as opposed to a $500,000 hit to the drainage budget right off the bat to fund the stormwater master plan. I recommend approval for this funding swap.
Very good. Any questions for Ray?
No.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And 4D, the Supervisory Control Data and Acquisition, also known as SCADA, is a system of software and hardware elements that allow the Water and Wastewater Division to control all the division's facility remotely, such as valves and pumps. It allows us to monitor, gather, and process real-time data for our elevated storage and lift stations. Elevated storage tanks and lift stations. The SCADA system is crucial for our Water and Wastewater Division since they help maintain efficiency, process data for smarter decisions, and communicate system issues to mitigate downtime. Our current SCADA system is approximately 15 years old, which is due for a major overhaul. As I stated in previous council meetings, computer software and hardware does not age well. For example, the current system has failed numerous times during the last 11 years, leaving our water and wastewater systems vulnerable. Which brings me here today to seek approval for a professional service agreement for Garver Engineering to ensure we design and install the latest and greatest SCADA system currently available. Garver has extensive experience with development, design, and implementation of SCADA systems, and I recommend approval.
Okay. Kind of looking through the contract that's in our packet, how long will it take to put this in? Is there a time frame on this?
To design it would take us maybe 2 months at least to just gather our data, see what we have and what we're going to replace, and then get that deployed, which will be bid it out or advertise it after 2 months. So we're looking at 5 weeks for advertisement. Okay. So maybe towards the end of the year, we'll have that in place and ready to go.
Okay, so this money tonight being approved is for the design and documents needed to bid out the construction.
Correct. We do have we have budgeted $350,000 for the system upgrade,
Okay.
And out of that 350, we're taking 93 for the design of the system to make sure we get everything correct.
Okay.
Oh, so this is part of the,
Yes.
of the 350?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because I was thinking that's a rather large amount. Designs typically,
It is. With the SCADA system, it's not like your typical construction project
Right.
where you take the OPCC and look at 10%. This is a little bit different. It's a more sensitive system.
dramatically different.
Yes,
Because
dramatically different.
you have to pick out each individual component, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Each component, like we just passed the pressure release valve, or we approved the pressure release valve, which is it's almost done to its last leg, and this will be part of the SCADA system as well.
Oh, great.
So we'll be able to operate it remotely, sorry.
You may or may not know the answer to this, but this talks about in the scope of services in Appendix A, a 45-foot antenna that's going to be moved from the Public Service Center to the Justice Center.
So yes, it was my decision that we should have all our IT infrastructure in one center and one location, which is the PD for right now, Justice Center. And so we're going to move it out of the service center and put it there so that it all can be centrally located.
Okay, so this is just
This is just an
call
antenna to
then.
send
Okay.
out the calls.
All right, Greg, any other questions for Ray?
No, it's great. I think you can't have too many monitors to know what's going on, and to be able to both monitor and control is really great, and we certainly need that.
Absolutely.
That also ends up with less pressure, less involvement on the staff.
Yes, that real-time data is what helps us make those decisions to see what we need to do as far as elevated storage tanks and closing valves.
Yep.
And the ability to do it remotely is key.
Absolutely.
The old days, you'd actually go and manually open and close valves. Now you can check it from your phone anywhere.
Right.
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, that'd be really great.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ray.
Very good. If there are no other questions, I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Are there any cards?
No, sir.
No. I have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? I see no one indicating that, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. The motion is in order.
I move the adoption of Resolution R-19-4393.
I'll second.
Have a motion to approve by Councilmember Dodson, a second by Councilmember Rigney. Would you open the vote, please? You may show it when it's ready. The motion is approved, therefore the resolution is approved. Thank you. So we'll move to agenda item 5 now. This is an item not for action. It's our monthly financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Mark Wood, Assistant City Manager. Tonight, I'm presenting the monthly financial report for the month of May 2019. This report represents 8 months of the current fiscal year, or 67% of the year. We'll go over the city's major operating funds one by one. The presentation is brief and happy to answer any questions you may have. In terms of the general fund, we're in great shape. Revenue is about 88% of budget, and expenditures are at 63% of the budget. So we have revenue higher than the 67% of the fiscal year, and expenditures below that, so that puts us in a great position.
Yeah, so would you point out to, there's a purple line, and that indicates
So-
where we would be if it was straight line projection?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just for everybody.
Yes, Mayor. So the purple line on each chart shows 67% of the year. I will point out that on the sales tax, and I'll mention this in just a minute, but sales tax, since we do have the 2-month lag, that purple line is at 50% of the year because it's 2 months behind. So it's sales tax at 50. So revenues currently exceed expenditures by $6 million. As we go throughout the rest of the fiscal year, some of that's seasonal, and we expect that to be adjusted, but we're in a great position right now with our general fund. Our sales tax, the mayor mentioned earlier in the meeting that we did receive a positive report for June. So we receive those usually the second week of the month. So right around the time this report is generated, we receive the next month. Although May was down, for this month, the sales tax was down about 8%. We rebounded for June, and so we're up about 5.5%. So overall, for the current fiscal year, we're at 0.3% increase.
Right on budget.
Right on budget. So we feel good about that. Sales tax has jumped around a little bit over the last couple of months. You can see on this chart, on the left-hand side, you see February, the month earned. So then we received that in April. So month earned is people shopped in February, and then we received those results in April.
Yeah.
And that was at 4.6% positive. March, we received that dip of 8.65%, but then again, we rebounded in April up to almost 5.5%. So we are seeing a little bit of a jump, but we feel confident that sales tax is coming in positive for the city. I do want to point out that the June receipt for purchases in April was the second month and really the big push of the Colleyville receipt race. If you remember, we awarded those checks a few months ago to the schools. They collected receipts from Colleyville businesses, and then we provided donations to the highest winning schools, plus $500 for every school that participated. And every school but one within GCISD participated. So we felt very positive of that, and I'm continue to believe that those quarterly programs have a big impact on our sales tax.
Good.
So, moving on to the utility fund. Utility fund is also in great shape, and it's on track with the budget. Base rates, as you can see on the right-hand side of this slide, are right where we'd expect them to be. So we're at 67% of the fiscal year, and base rates for water and wastewater are at 70 and 66, right where we'd expect them to be. And again, base rates are what the city recovers to put on our utility, to provide that service to residents. We only recover that cost. The rest, the water usage, is a direct pass-through from TRA. We don't control those rates. It's a pass-through. Whatever residents use, it's pass-through. You will notice that the water volumetric usage is way below where it was last year and in terms of budget as well, or the fiscal year. As you know, we've seen a ton of rain. Last weekend was
That's
crazy.
that's half of last year. That just
Yes.
shows you how much rain we've
Yeah,
had.
we've just seen a ton of rain. Last weekend was crazy. In fact, we are down 39% gallons sold, or about 460 million gallons less than this point last year. So it's quite a bit of water. In terms of new customers, we still continue to see a climb in new customers. Compared to May of 2018, we have an increase of 440 customers. So we currently have 10,663 water customers for our utility. Moving on to debt service, this fund is also in great shape, is on track with trend and budget. So we've made the fire engine payment as well as the ambulance payment we'll make in June. Just as a reminder, kind of creatively, we use this funding mechanism to do lease purchase for some of our fire apparatus, so fire engine and ambulance. And so those payments have been made, and that's about $50,000 annual payment for each one of those. We've made the principal and interest payment, and we have a second interest payment due in August, and then that will kind of close out this fund for the fiscal year.
Those two on the right are exactly the same, right?
Yes.
Why is that? Or what is that?
So the debt service revenues, so is that what you're pointing at, Mayor?
No, the transfer ins from the.
From other, yeah, so those are
CCCPP.
the funds that we use to pay the debt. And so,
No, I mean the two big rectangles, three major rectangles there. The two on the right are identical, aren't they? Are they different?
oh, yes, you're correct. Yeah, those are the same.
It's just you
Those
cut
are the
the same
exact same.
exhibit.
Yep, that's a duplicate.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Just didn't want to confuse people.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
They are exactly.
Just confused me. And then finally, the drainage fund. This is a small fund for the city, but nonetheless, it's on track with budget. It's about 71% of the budget. Expenditures are again in line. This is mainly used for staffing that's attributed to the drainage fund. So a lot of public works staff, a portion of our GIS, and positions like that. This is a $7 fee that's charged monthly to customers, and so that's the revenue source for this fund.
So that fund revenue is about just under $1 million a year, but most of the money is spent on people actually keeping drainage ditches clear and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. Our crews that are out in full force right now, especially with all this rain.
I was going to say,
cleaning
we
up-
get
cleaning
a
up
lot of
ditches,
drainage complaints.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll make a plug for our drainage committee.
Yeah.
So with city manager direction, we created a drainage committee where we have city management staff as well as engineers, public works staff, operations, where we solely look at drainage complaints and concerns from residents. And so if anybody that's listening has one, reach out to us, a council member, and they can pass along as well. But we study each one of those. We meet every other week. And we have about, at any point in time, around 30 or so open items that we're studying and looking at, coming up with solutions for, and meeting with residents on site to help solve those problems.
Yeah, I think that's very important because that process works very well because it documents every complaint that come in. It actually gets serious look by a number of people. You actually go do something, or you take it to a resolution, and whoever turned it in, the residents, gets communicated back along the way, and when it's closed, they know it.
Absolutely.
So there's a positive feedback. Okay.
This also includes the street sweeper, I believe.
Yes, street
And of course, the advantage of the street sweeper is it keeps trash and things out of the drainage system.
Yeah.
Which is very major, and we have a new sweeper.
Yep.
It was by my house yesterday, so.
Yeah, we have brand new street sweeper used with this funding, and we branded that street sweeper to help kind of correlate the two.
Absolutely, because you typically think, well, they're just straightening up the streets. Well, they are doing that.
Yeah.
But the major idea is to keep dirt and dust and leaves and other kind of trash out of the sewer system.
Absolutely.
And we do have a lot of complaints, but that's wonderful that we now know where those issues are.
Yeah.
I know during the election campaign, when we were knocking on doors, some people told us things that had been happening to them for some time, and to be able to get action on those is very, very major, and I think our citizens very much appreciate that.
Good. Well, again, I encourage people to send those in, either to us or to you guys, and you can funnel them to us. But I mean, that's what we're here for, is to help the citizens and to help solve these issues and problems. And you're right, we've heard citizens that have been dealing with an issue for so long, and they finally, it kind of bubbles up, and they finally take the time to complain. But we don't want it to get to that point. If there's an issue, let us know, and we'll take a look.
Absolutely.
That concludes my presentation.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 6A. So these next three will be second readings of ordinances, so there will be some sort of action. So 6A is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2080, consideration of a special use permit for an accessory dwelling on lot 30R, block 1 of the Montclair Park Edition located at 5305 Miramar Lane, case ZC 19-002. Ben?
Thank you. Ben Briner, Director of Community Development. We saw this at your last meeting, and there's been no change to this one, but this is a special use permit request for an accessory dwelling for the property at 5305 Miramar Lane. This is an aerial photo of the site. They're proposing to build really a pool house in the backyard area, but it does have a full kitchen. And rather than, the full kitchen really gives the opportunity for a dwelling, and thus we have it going through this process for approval by you, the City Council. The current zoning on this property is R20, single-family residential, and it is designated for residential on our future land use map. So these are the requirements for accessory dwellings. They do require, in the R20 district, approval of the special use permit, but then in letter B, it cannot exceed 50% of the primary structure or the maximum allowed square footage, which is 4% for the total lot area, or capped out at 1,200 square feet, whichever of those comes first. And so we do have the site data for this site. The accessory dwelling itself is 926 square feet. It does comply with all of the maximum requirements for an accessory dwelling. The site itself still complies with all the requirements for the R20 district. And so there are no issues with this request, other than the accessory dwelling itself.
Yeah.
This is the zoning exhibit that was provided, so you can see this is in the backyard. That arrow is actually incorrect. North is to the left, but it is 23 and a half feet from the rear property line, 11 feet 9 inches from the south or side property line, and 20 and a half feet away from the primary structure. So it does meet all of the setback requirements as well. It is a single-story structure, and they are going to match the existing primary structure with the materials that you see, including the design of the windows. They do want it to look like it is part of the entire property. Just another view or different exhibit for this property. This is a street view from Google. This is from Montclair. It will be in the backyard. You can see the pitch of the existing house. They are trying to match that pitch, as well as you can see a little bit of the brick that they will be matching as well.
It'll be on the left there, right?
Yes, that's right, on the left-hand side. We did send our notices out. We did not receive any responses back, one way or the other. And staff does recommend approval. It meets all the requirements of the Land Development Code. Planning and Zoning Commission also recommends approval at their May 13th meeting. With that, I can try and answer any questions.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, during the first discussion, we discussed putting into the motion that this building cannot be rented, right?
That is right, and I might have forgotten to add that in, but I do remember that conversation. Yes.
So I believe that should be done.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll do that at the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Ben?
No.
No? Okay, then I'm going to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Do we have any cards? Have no cards. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? See no one indicating, well, yeah, we got one. There you go. You're the applicant, right?
Yes, how are you doing this evening?
Good, you?
Good, good.
Good.
I just wanted to,
Could you state your name and address?
yes, sir,
Technicality.
Rodney Owens, 5305 Miramar Lane.
Okay.
I know last meeting you had mentioned, basically putting something on there that would run in perpetuity. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Great.
Because that just goes to say that that's exactly what we're wanting the use to be, so, yeah. Thank y'all.
Great.
Very good.
Appreciate it.
Oh, the one question just came to my mind. Are any HOA restrictions or anything? You're meeting all those?
Yes, sir. So in our HOA, I can read you the document,
Okay.
and their restrictions and covenants, which obviously I had to get approval
Sure.
from them prior to getting here. There is language in there that says all lots shall be used for single-family residential purposes only.
Yeah.
So, there.
Consistent.
Be a double,
Very good.
Yes.
double
yes.
proof.
And if you remember, it's just,
Yeah.
me and my wife and 4
Yeah.
kids. But from Mr. Lindemood earlier, when he was talking about full disclosure and transparency, on the demo side, going back to the Chick-fil-A, I'm actually an atypical angel investor, which means I pour a lot of money into that place. A new one, I get nothing out, but just smiles. So I'm super excited. I've already been texting my wife. I hope y'all don't mind that during session. I said, hey, there's a Chick-fil-A coming to Chick-fil-A, and I got the emoji hand signs. Woo! So that's the best news I think I've heard in a long
Every
time.
parent up here feels the same way, so.
All I can
Everybody
say
likes
is let's
that.
just push for playground.
Yeah.
Playground, because that makes the moms super happy.
Yeah.
So, but great job on that. But yes,
Good, okay.
nothing's changed, and I
Great.
appreciate y'all's consideration. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Atypical. You know, Mr.
See no one indicating that, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. Okay, so we can talk about it some more, or it's time to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 019-2080 with the addition of the single unit, to be used as a single unit property.
Single family.
Yeah.
Single family, yes.
Are you gonna,
I didn't hear what she said.
She had the
What'd you say
condition
at
that,
the end?
condition that it be single-family property.
Oh, okay.
No
I'll
rental.
second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Nakamura, a second by Councilmember Wheat. The condition on the motion was that this could not be used for, and how are we gonna put it? Could not be used.
Single-family use, no rental.
That covers both. Single family use.
Use no rental.
No rental.
Works for me.
Okay.
Are you good with that?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Then the vote is open. You may show it when it's ready. And that motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is approved. Got it. Thanks. Move to agenda item 6B. This is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2081, consideration of a zoning change from agricultural district to R40 single family district on Lot 1, Block 1 of the J.M. Presley addition and 17.5 feet along the east boundary located at 2308 Glade Road, case ZC 19-003.
We're tabling this one.
Pardon?
Table, this is the table.
Yeah, so I still have to have a public hearing, don't I?
And the applicant's here.
Yeah, so we had a meeting with the applicant and engineer, me and city manager and others this week on this item. They've requested that we table this for right now. I see him shaking his head, still good with that. So I don't think we need to have a presentation. I do need to have a public hearing. But we will do it and have another public hearing when we bring it off the table. So we will be very careful with that. So I'm going to open the public hearing.
No, sir, no cards.
I have no cards. Anyone wish to speak on this item? See no one indicating that, so I'm going to close the public hearing. So a motion to table would be in order.
I move that we table ordinance 019-2081.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to table by Councilmember Dodson, a second by Councilmember Wheat. Would you open the vote, please? Okay. May show it when it's ready. Motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is tabled. Thank you. Moving to agenda item 6C, this is second reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2082, consideration of a zoning change from agricultural district to R20 single family district on tracks 1A01 and tracks 1A02, abstract 1619, and the SCH Witten survey located at 2001 Hall Johnson Road, case ZC 19-004.
all right, thank you. This is a request to rezone from the agricultural district to the R20 district at 2001 Hall Johnson Road. Here's an aerial photo of the site. It is currently 2 tracks, but as we discussed at the last meeting, the intent now is to have it be platted as a single lot. The current zoning, as I stated, is the agricultural district, and it is designated for residential use on our future land use map. Just some quick photos. There is an existing house and accessory building on the site. And so I think the intent would be to develop with a new single-family home and then remove the old home after during this process. These are the minimum standards for the R20 district. At our last meeting, we did have a conversation about possibly rezoning to the R30 district. Really, the only differences are the lot size. The lot width increases up to 125 feet, and then the front building line increases up to 35 feet, and they should be able to meet those standards. And so one of the requests was to have a revised exhibit to show it as a single property, so they have done that. So this will be a single lot of approximately 46,990 square feet. They have submitted this for the plat process. Being that there is no longer a plat waiver involved, it'd just be a staff approval, but it is for a single lot.
Good.
additional exhibits. I don't know that we need to go through this anymore. I don't know if they'll keep this house plan or they might make some revisions now with that. We did send our notices out to surrounding property owners, and we did receive, I think it was 2 letters for this item. I think with the consolidation into a single lot, I think their concerns go away.
Okay.
I think some of it was having 2 lots and how that would affect their properties. But staff does recommend approval, and Planning and Zoning Commission also recommends approval. That was for the R20, but obviously they would be okay with the R30 as well. And so with that, I can answer any other questions.
Yeah.
I just think that I would think that we need to take his recommendation. Let's do the R30. That way there's not a chance, and it'll put people's mind at ease
Yeah.
that they won't have the opportunity to split that lot again and put another house on it.
Well, let me do something real quick. Applicant here, would you mind coming to the podium, please, sir? Or ma'am, both of you?
All of the above.
State your name and address for the record.
Nancy Scott, 217 Fountain View Drive, Euless.
Okay. So is it okay to zone this R30?
Yes, I'm the applicant with Scott Home Builders, and we're going to be building the property.
Okay.
And these are the owners of the property that are here also.
Okay.
And since it didn't work out to build 2 houses on the property, there was no issue with changing it from R20 to R30.
Okay, very good. That's the only question.
Perfect.
Appreciate it. Okay, I need to open the public hearing. Public hearing is open. Do have a couple of cards. Nancy Scott.
That's
Oh,
right.
I'm
That's
sorry. Already did that. Kathy Hadley.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, represent myself. What concerns me is that they're changing it from ag down to R20. Why can't you just go from ag to R40 and keep the space? The land is going away, y'all, in Colleyville. We're losing what keeps Colleyville unique. The space, the land. Just rezone it to R. I don't understand why y'all understand all that, but why not go to R40? Because I'm concerned that if it's R20, everybody can go back and do more houses later. That concerns me.
Now, let me go ahead and answer that for you. So what we were just talking about is it will only be this one lot, which is exactly what it is now with one house. So we're not going to zone it R20. We're going to zone it at least R30. So it'll always be one home, one lot.
It'll remain big.
It'll remain like
I
it is.
know I can't really talk, but
No,
I don't know the difference between R30 and R40. Is it getting smaller? R20 is it?
Yeah.
I want the space.
It will, what your concern is, it addresses your concern to go to
Okay.
R30.
All right.
I think the lot's only 40,000 square feet also, so it doesn't make.
It is 40,000.
Yeah, it could be R40.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Okay, we're still in public hearing. Anyone else wish to speak?
Right.
I shouldn't get too far off track. I see no one else indicating they want to speak. So I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed now. We
I'm
can
sorry.
talk about it. I talked more than I should have then, but.
So anyway, same thing as what you were saying. It meets everything that Ms. Hadley wants.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be one single lot. It'll be R30 for the width, probably.
Is it
that
dimensions?
Right, that's the reason. It's
Yeah.
130 feet
Yeah.
for this property. R30 requires 125, but the R40 requires 150.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't go the R30 route, we'd have to bring the plat
So-
to you with the plat waiver.
So let me explain that detail, Mrs. Hadley. So we're going to R30 rather than R40. It achieves what you were concerned about, which is keeping the one lot just like it is today. But if we went to R40, we would have to approve a variance for the width. And we really don't like to approve variances. But it keeps the lot like it is, one lot, one house. So I think it accomplishes everything.
Right.
If there's no other discussion, then a motion would be in order.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance O-19-2082.
I'll
Got
second.
to add to R30.
Oh, and to change the zoning from R20 to R30.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem Linda Mood, a second by Councilmember Rigney, and the motion includes the requirement to change from R20 to zone this R30, not R20.
Exactly.
Okay, so the vote is open. And that motion is approved, therefore the ordinance is approved. Thank you.
Welcome to Colleyville.
Yeah. Okay, we'll now move to agenda item 7A. This is first reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2084, amending the City of Colleyville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Alcoholic Beverages by amending Section 6-5.
I can talk about it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
At a previous work session, the council discussed the current ordinance requirement that all of our restaurants in town maintain a minimum of 60% non-alcohol sales as part of their sales reporting. As part of that discussion, there was questions about whether or not we should change that percentage. And we also discussed what our neighboring communities have as far as percentages. I'll throw that slide up. Do you have it on there? There is multiple, when you look at all the communities around us, most of the communities have a 75% threshold by which they either require a special use for alcohol or they permit by right alcohol sales as part of the restaurant use. On the slide in front of you, you can see the neighboring communities represented, and you can see that the only communities that actually provide for a special use permit or a conditional use permit under 75% is Euless and Grapevine. And so the question for us was whether or not we would change our percentage and change our procedure. The decision was to leave our procedure as it is, to require the special use permit, but to change the percentage of the requirement and allow for 60% of the sales to be alcohol and only 40% of the sales to be food. That's what's before you tonight in this ordinance. Additionally, there was conversation about providing for additional opportunities for unique exceptions, such as wineries, breweries, distilleries, places that have tasting rooms and thus have an even higher percentage of alcohol, but are very unique in their character. The city attorney is working on creating definitions for those uses and providing for amendments to the land development code to accommodate those uses and those definitions. And so that issue will come before you at some later date. Tonight before you, though, is just the change in the percentage from the 60% in the ordinance to 40%.
Okay, any comments, questions? Okay, I have one.
Oh, boy.
So for background, we had a long discussion in a work session about this. I just did what I normally do, asked a couple of questions. First question, what is driving the thought that we need to make this change?
Are you asking us or the city manager?
I'm asking this guy.
Okay.
I mean, everybody will.
Oh, go ahead.
Probably,
Go ahead.
but since he was talking, he's the one, he
Okay,
gets the
sure.
question. I mean, I understand from an individual person, but from a technical business, is some business requesting this?
I have not talked to any business owners that requested it, no. But the concern or the driving force for the conversation is the question that's asked in two parts. One, are we foregoing any business opportunity that might have come because of this limitation? And two, do we potentially have businesses that in town right now are either not reporting or incorrectly reporting because they can't meet the current threshold? And so that began the conversation, which then expanded to an assessment of what has happened in this area over the last 20 years. And that's where this conversation and this comparison came from.
Okay. So what do our current businesses report, or what do you think they would report, they reported?
Well, under the current ordinances, they must report that they have no more than 40% of their sales.
So let me ask it differently. Did you guys, the staff, do kind of a verbal survey talking to the business about, hey, what do you really do? What'd they tell you?
I did not. Mark, you
Ah,
did some
okay,
research.
Mark. Okay.
Well, and that's a great question, because if there actually is this going on, I'm not so sure we want to ask them.
So,
Well, you know, so we had this conversation in work session. I'm looking for that answer.
Mayor, just to answer, so restaurants are currently, based upon the code of ordinances,
Yeah.
restaurants must report to the city secretary's office their percentage of alcohol and food sales. And so within their first year of operation, they report quarterly. If they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
if they have no violation within that first year,
Yeah.
then that goes to an annual reporting.
Yeah.
And so we have a spreadsheet of all those receipts and sales.
Yeah.
And on average, it's around 80% food, 20% alcohol. I'm aware of one restaurant that it's challenging to meet the
Okay.
60/40.
And what do you think they would actually do?
I think the last receipts I looked was about, I guess I have knowledge of the receipts.
50-50?
It was about 52% alcohol.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make you guys be nervous, but I'm just
continue
trying
to
to
have
get
no
the
knowledge of
right-
that, Mayor, so that's okay.
So let me just say what I have thought I'd heard in the past, that we do have some restaurants that need about 50-50. And so all I'm looking, I would ask these questions of any, always ask questions. And so I'm looking for the driver of why we would make the change to the 60. We're currently 60-40 food, alcohol. This switches it to 40-60.
Yes.
40 food, 60 alcohol. So what I'm looking for is, well, why do we need to go that far? Why not 50-50? And so you guys have heard this, but public hasn't. So that's why I'm kind of explaining. My concern of doing this is I look at both the benefits and the risk. And so from a risk standpoint, we had the ordinance originally to ensure, and I'm going to use some words that maybe sound crasser, but we don't want hardcore bars, right? We never wanted hardcore bars in Colleyville. We like nice restaurants, places where you can go have a nice drink and beer and even, expensive wine, that's okay. So how do we avoid, you always have to worry, or I do always think about, what are the unintended consequences? Because we don't have any definitions of some of the other things. So we kind of managed it purely on that percentage. And so I just want to be sure that we've thought through all of that and we're not taking it further than we need to at this time to simply minimize unintended consequences down the road. It may not even be us, but somebody else sitting up here has to deal with
I
it.
think we're still protected with the SUP in place. And for me, the change is important because I'm going to be spending money in Colleyville. And I know a lot of people that might go to outside of the city to go to a restaurant that wouldn't meet that requirement in Colleyville. And so for me, I would rather have tax dollars stay in Colleyville. I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree, but I haven't yet understood what kind of restaurant wouldn't come here because of it. I've never had
Katy
that.
Trail Ice House?
Pardon?
Wasn't that one that
Yeah.
heard the
Which one?
percentage and walked
Katy
away?
Trail Ice House, as an example.
Yeah,
And that's still a nice.
describe that to me. I'm not familiar with that restaurant.
You've been there.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Katy Trail Ice House, it's a
Oh, Katy Trail
Katy
Ice
Trail
House.
Ice House.
Okay.
So the Katy Trail in Dallas.
Yeah.
Popular jogging and biking trail
Yeah.
that connects uptown and downtown.
Right.
They have a restaurant and a bar,
Uh-huh.
for lack of a better definition, on the trail.
Yeah.
And it's a popular stop and restaurant eatery, kind of a hangout place, more of a destination type restaurant. They have one other location in Plano. That we received a call 6 or 7 months ago.
Mhm.
They were inquiring about the former JR site on 121. And they asked about the percentages. And I asked them what their percentage was, and at that point, I think that they were may have 60-40. I think the flip would help them. I think because it's a suburban location, that they might be able to meet that 60-40. The Dallas location probably is a little bit beyond that.
What kind of food do they serve?
To be honest, I haven't been there
Have you ever had the
personally,
food?
But do I?
What is it?
But I think it's general, like
hamburgers
burgers and
Yeah.
fries
chicken
and
sandwiches
casual food to
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah.
But it's not, there's not a lot of,
It's not a bar.
right. It's
Right.
a nice
So-
atmosphere. People can take their dog, it's along the trail, and I've never seen anything wild going on there.
Yeah. So I have a request. Can you get some pictures of that facility on Dallas for the next meeting? And the menu. Here's my theory. The bigger that percentage gets of alcohol versus food, you're gonna have establishments that have cheaper and cheaper food. And so you gotta think about, you know, okay,
I don't think that, I think
Well,
you'll be
I'm-
proven
I'm-
wrong. Yeah, I think
well,
it'll
but-
be a good exploration.
well, but you gotta think about not just the examples.
Not this one example.
What could come.
You're right.
And that would tend to drive restaurants that have cheaper food. I think it just makes sense to me. And so, but what I'm really concerned about is us not getting to a point where we really could have a place that, you know, has really.
Well, that's where the
happy food and a lot of-
special use permit comes
But
in.
believe me, I'm an old guy, you know, when I think bar, I think.
Well, I think a lot of people were concerned when the liquor store came in, and we haven't seen anything negative come of that. I mean, you know, it doesn't have bars on the windows and people hanging out around it, and
Yeah, well, but notice, I didn't say any of that stuff. I'm just saying the type of establishments.
Yeah.
Because as I think of Colleyville, what do you always hear people talk about? Nice restaurants, nice drinks, wine, expensive drinks, as Bobby was pointing out to me when we were talking about this. I just wanted to put all that on the table, make sure we're thinking through it.
I
And-
personally think that there are more restaurants in town here that are having a hard time meeting that. I've talked to some of them, and I feel that they are. I'm not going to sit here and say who they are. I'm not going to do that. You can arrest me, and then I might have to tell, but right now, but I truly feel there's a lot more restaurants in town than maybe the one that Mark says that he spoke with, because I've talked to a few of them that are having a hard time.
And I second what Tammy says. I've talked to several of them as well, and I think it brings it brings them into code. They're not worried as much. And, you know, we're not gonna put anything bad here in Colleyville. That was what our commitment was. So I think we're gonna put high-end stuff. You know, the big thing now is like craft rooms and wine tastings and stuff like that. They serve a little bit of cheese and sell high-end wines, and those are really neat, and they're attractions to bring people into town to look.
And the food is usually not inexpensive.
Yeah,
It's usually pretty well priced.
And it's well put together, these new things. And I promise I will not, I'm just one guy, I won't be voting for anything that says bar in it or has a piano in there playing the, like the old style. I know you guys are used to, but.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
But anyways, that's my whole reason that, we want to just give some breathing room, to be honest with you. And
I agree.
as long as I'm up here, I plan to use my leverage with my SUPs, and I feel confident that this isn't going to do a whole lot worse to us.
Okay. Very good. I haven't done a public hearing yet.
No.
Are we ready for a public hearing?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna open a public hearing. Public hearing is open.
No cards.
I have no cards. Anyone wish to speak? I see nobody indicating they wish to speak, so I'm gonna close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. So this is the first reading. No action need to be taken tonight. Are we through discussing it for the moment?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. We'll move to agenda item 7B. This is a first reading and public hearing of ordinance O-19-2085, amending the Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 2, Section 2-26, specifically amending Section 18-22, permit issuances, Table 3A, building permit fees.
Thank you. This is in response to a change or a bill that was adopted at the state legislature and this was House Bill 852. And due to the passage of that bill, it is necessary to revise our permit fees immediately. This new bill prohibits municipalities from calculating residential permit fees based on valuation of the project, which is the current method shared by most North Texas cities. And this applies to any residential project that requires a building permit. The alternative being proposed is to assess fees based on a unit cost per square foot for each project. And we have proposed fees which we have calculated to be at a revenue neutral amount as related to our current fees. And so in this section, this is really let me get to, I think I went too far, yeah. So with the residential fees, we can not do it based on valuation of the project. It has to be done per square footage. And so when we were calculating a few examples to see what that number might be, what we are proposing is for new residential and for additions, so any new square footage, it would require a fee of $1 per square foot of that area of new square footage. But then for an alteration or remodel and also for accessory structures, that is proposed at 80 cents per square feet, so a slight reduction there. With this also, we've separated our specialized components of that fee, such as the building E-permit, mechanical permit, plumbing permit. It'll be $75 for those, which is standard for other fees that we have. And then we also wanted to add the performing work without a permit. Right now it's a double fee, but we'd like to just make that a $250 fee. So if they get caught doing work and they should have had a permit, currently it would be just double.
Oh, so if they get caught and they don't have it, they should have, you're gonna charge them $250.
$250 instead of the 75, or right now it's double
I got
fees,
you,
so
okay. I got you.
150. But the thing that we'd like to also note is this last line, homestead exemption, 50% discount.
Yeah.
We're proposing this to apply in situations where the property owner occupies the home and is acting as the general contractor for the project. So it does give a benefit for our residents that are making improvements to their homes. This would typically be a small project, hot water heater, or even a small remodel that they can do on their own.
So that's a good example. So if I was gonna replace my water heater myself,
Yes,
I would pay a permit of
$37.50.
half of 75, yeah.
Yeah, more importantly, if you were doing a renovation of your house and it's fairly involved, but you are doing it yourself, you can recognize this savings. And so it's a way to reward our homeowners without deviating from a traditional fee structure that allows us to recover our costs that we're losing from the new development.
Right. So again, it would be for owner-occupied situation where they are the general contractor.
So they can hire a fence company to come in and do the fence, right?
No.
No?
General
They have to
contractor
act as a general contractor.
They put their own fence in, or if they
I was
decided-
thinking,
This
I was
general
thinking
contractor
there's
can
a subcontractor.
subcontract.
Yeah, he said,
If they're a
general hire subs.
On each of these, though, the permit should be considered as the contractor is the one performing the service.
Oh, performing. Oh, that's different.
I have a
I think,
general contractor and subcontractor.
Yeah.
All in one line. That way it eliminates two positions.
I was gonna say,
All into one.
if you just say general contractor, you can hire subs to do everything, right?
Yeah.
Right, and that would not be the purpose here. And the one thing that you have to remember is when you have a sub, they have to be licensed and they have to be insured, and so there are additional mechanisms to check for that.
Okay,
And so these are people that are truly doing the work themselves.
okay.
I have a question on the alteration remodel. Is the 80 cents a square foot of the project, so say you were remodeling your entire home, but then adding square footage, are you 80 cents a square foot on the addition or on the entire remodel?
So the 80 cents would be for the existing square footage, and then any new square footage would have to be under the dollar.
Okay. And what is it now?
It's based on valuation.
I mean,
don't have-
are we changing this? Is this what we charge now or no?
No. Right now, it's based on how much you assess the project will, like,
Just a
it
guess?
might be a $20,000 project, and our fees will be based on that $20,000
Okay.
value.
Okay,
So we don't do it per square footage at all
Can't
right
do
now.
that
So this is a completely new system.
okay.
So how did you, so What's the average for a new home in Colleyville? What's the average permit fee right now?
I don't have, it's a range, I'll say between 13,000 and 19,000, probably.
Okay.
What?
Does that include impact
What are you
fees?
talking about, 3,000 square feet, 4,000?
I'm talking
We're
about
talking
permit.
about
I'm
between
talking,
6,000 and 9,000 square foot homes.
Oh, 6 to 9,000?
That's what we're seeing. That's,
Okay,
I mean, that's, yeah.
yeah,
So you're
We're not
cutting it
doing
in
any,
half.
very, very few smaller homes.
wow,
than that.
okay.
On remodels or
No
That'd be
problem.
for new.
in the range,
on the
and-
new?
Tear
Okay.
down.
and you said the range was what to what?
Maybe 13,000 to 19,000.
Okay, so a 6,000 square foot now would be 6,000.
And
Of
I
which
should
is new.
say, okay,
Does that include impact fees?
I'll have, yeah, that included the impact
Okay.
fees.
The impact
So,
fees are different.
yeah,
Yeah,
I can make sure I have that information.
yeah.
I thought I saw a number that reflected that a permit was somewhere around $5,500 to $6,500, and that's where you came up with the dollar. But certainly you could have a situation where this was different is in the finishes. You may have somebody who builds a relatively smaller house, let's say 5,000 square feet, but it's high-end finishes. And so the old permit system allowed you to take advantage of that greater valuation. The new system only applies the square footage price. And so the person who builds on the smaller end of the spectrum will do better than the person who builds on the higher end, but we're talking about on average.
Okay. But just a clarification on two, what Kelly asked. So if I was just gonna, let's say on my house, I was gonna add a 10 by 15 room. Is it the square foot of that room that I'm
That's right.
charged 80 cents per square foot? Okay.
The only
Oh, no,
comments
no,
you made is
okay.
if you
It would
remodel
be
the
a
house.
dollar for that because it's new square footage.
Okay,
But if you remodeled the rest of the house in the process, then you'd pay the 80 cents for the rest of the remodel. But if you only did the one area, you only pay for
all
the
right,
area.
so let's say I redid my kitchen. Only my kitchen, I redid my, because I've done that, I've done a bathroom, I've done a kitchen, separate projects. How would I get,
It'd be
Permit.
that area of the kitchen remodel, so let's
Yeah.
just say 20 by 20.
yeah, so it'd just be
Times
on
the 80.
that area, okay.
That's right.
And that was part of the reason I think the law changed is because there was a lot of encouragement of underreporting the value by
Yeah.
the contractor.
Yeah,
And there was a lot of maybe
okay,
undefendable position of the city's assessment of its value.
yeah,
So I think that's where the
Okay.
debate came from.
I got it.
Yeah.
So the
It's awfully
intent-
hard to, it's awfully hard to nail that down, right? If it hadn't
Yes.
been built, so they can tell you almost anything they want
Yeah,
Yes.
and put in higher quality stuff.
And traditionally, we would try to look at the plans and look for those kinds of things, but there was some subjectivity to that.
Oh, yeah,
I think this was intended to remove that.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can put in Formica, or you can put in
Right.
ivory, right? I mean,
And that's not necessarily specified on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
plans. Yep.
sure.
Okay. So the intent, you guys did the analysis to try to come up with something that make it kind of revenue, the same as we get today, just with a
Exactly.
different measure.
Yeah, the
Okay.
building official pulled a few properties
Yeah.
and tried to come up with a number that worked.
Okay.
I did fail to say, this is right in line with some of our other surrounding communities.
Okay.
Hearst, Euless, Bedford, and North
Yeah.
Richland Hills, I think are going to these same values.
Okay,
So this is the requirement that is needed with the bill. However, since we were looking at our permit fees,
Yeah.
our building official also did a comparison for our commercial fees, which is still under the valuation, and compared it with our surrounding properties, or cities, to see what they were doing.
Yeah.
And we did find that we were fairly low. This was provided in your packet,
Yeah, I saw that.
and so.
Considerably low. in some-
Yes. And so when we were looking at it and discussed it as an internal staff group, what you see highlighted in yellow would be the proposed values, which would get us right in line with several of our others. We would definitely not be in the lower half or near the very bottom. You'll notice that Grapevine was well under pretty much every other
Yeah.
community.
Yeah,
They receive a lot of subsidies through the airport and probably also the sales tax. So they're kind of an outlier anyway. But the highlighted values in the yellow would definitely get us in the same range as several of our other neighboring communities. And so this is an option. We wanted to bring it
Okay.
forward, and if you decided to go forward, we would also amend our existing values for commercial permits as well.
So commercial fees are done by valuations?
Yes, so
Okay.
the
That's
bill only
nice.
required residential to change to the square footage.
Okay.
And so you may decide to change the commercial fee schedule, but if you don't want to, please just at least do the residential because we don't have an
Yes.
option there.
Right, the residential is required, the commercial is for your consideration.
I think we need to be in line with everybody else. I mean, we already offer quality.
Yeah.
I think they should be able to pay for it.
So you'll bring back some more examples for the residential?
I can, we can pull some specific examples from
Be
permits
good-
that we
I'd
did
like to see
recently.
those, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Uh,
Pull like 7 or 8 of them and just,
I probably should have included that in.
That's okay.
it's easy enough.
We have a few already pulled from
Understand.
when the building official was looking at
Okay.
this.
You can even do like Chick-fil-A for commercial as an example, because that's a, estimated project or a recent commercial project that was built, building not to be identified, but was recently built, and look at the commercial changes as well. So you can show both how the residential permits would change and how the commercial permit would change.
Okay. So we don't have a permit for the Chick-fil-A yet,
No, but you could anticipate what a value is gonna be.
Yeah, they
or you
have a
could-
value, right?
I guess.
Because they're a new construction as opposed to a couple of buildings that recently built that you could also use at different levels, because you have variety in your structure as to value of the building.
That's right.
Chick-fil-A would be on the higher end, whereas maybe some of the newer buildings might be in the more middle range. And so you can see different options.
We have a couple buildings that we are under construction right now, maybe we can use those.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
maybe
Even the
use
event
Chick-fil-A
center or
as an
whatever.
example.
Yeah.
We'll
Sure.
try and come up with a valuation. Hopefully it's fairly close.
You also, when you quoted what do you have, 16,000 to 19,000? You quoted also what's it called, the fee for?
Impact fees.
Impact fees.
Yeah, impact fee.
So I'll pull all of that out.
The impact
I'll make
fee-
sure it's just building permit.
Right.
Because the impact fee
So
is nothing.
we still have an impact fee, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That does not change.
I understand. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure we
Yeah.
have
No.
apples
Mhm.
to apples,
Yeah.
and whatever else, the other,
Yeah.
no, joke.
Okay, I need to do a public hearing if we're ready. Okay, I'm gonna open a public hearing. Public hearing is open.
No
Yeah.
cards, but
Come on up.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. I am quite upset about this. I just had, after that storm blew through, it blew over a part of my fence. And I don't have the money or the time to get permits. I'm out there fixing it the best I can myself until my handy dandy brother can come over. But now I have to pay to have a permit to get my fence fixed? It's just a very small area, but really? And you have to get a permit to be able to do stuff on your own property? Like I've had work done on my well before. I had to get a permit. It's coming out of my pocket. My dollars are coming out of my pocket to fix this stinking well that I have to pay y'all for the right to have it fixed. I'm sorry. That's really, y'all are getting in people's pockets, and that's not right. I wish I would think about this. You know, it sounds like it's people's property. Just grant them the wisdom of how to handle things.
So
I don't
I'm
understand.
gonna say something that city manager may hit. If I had a fence and I had 2 panels blow down and I wanted to fix it myself, I'd just do it.
you don't need a permit for
You
that.
don't need one.
No.
Now, if you
Well,
were replacing
mine's
it,
chain link,
Yeah.
but if you were replacing it, it's a different story.
and I've had my
But it's
well
still a repair,
fixed.
but your example was repair.
Yeah, it's not redoing.
You don't need a permit to repair.
To repair.
No.
Right,
Thank you.
sure. Anyone else would like to speak at the public hearing? See no one indicating, I'm gonna close it. Public hearing is closed. So that's the first reading of an ordinance, so there's no action tonight, so we'll take it up next time. Moving to agenda item 8A is reading and public hearing of resolution R-19-4394, a resolution establishing a pedestrian transportation ad hoc committee. Whereas the City Council recognizes the importance of sidewalks and trails in creating a more walkable and mobile community, and whereas the City Council is committed to the best interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Colleyville, and whereas the City Council desires to involve the citizens of Colleyville in prioritizing areas to enhance connectivity within the community, and whereas the City Council desires to establish the Colleyville Pedestrian Transportation Ad Hoc Committee, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Colleyville, Texas, Section 1, that a 7-member Colleyville Pedestrian Transportation Ad Hoc Committee is hereby established, and that 3 members shall be representatives from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, that the City Secretary is directed to advertise and accept applications for appointment for the 4 at-large members from June 24 through June 23, 2019. Section 3, that the Colleyville Sidewalks Ad Hoc Committee responsibilities may include A, create a single sidewalk and trail map based on a review and update of the supplemental sidewalk map and trail master plan. B, identify and prioritize need for interconnectivity of pedestrian transportation routes, open parentheses, sidewalks within neighborhoods. C, identify and prioritize need for intraconnectivity of pedestrian transportation routes, sidewalks, and trails between neighborhoods and communal destinations such as nature center, State Highway 26, commercial corridor, library/city hall, park, senior center, etc. D, develop priority-based recommendations and rationale for determining which sidewalks or trails should be completed first. E, identify grant funding opportunities for pedestrian transportation needs. Section 4, that upon issuance of final recommendation to the City Council, the work of the committee will be completed and the terms of the committee members will be concluded. Section 5, that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage, and it is so resolved. So you just want me to speak about this? Oh, Adrian, good.
Good evening again.
Hi.
You may recall that we discussed creating or bringing back and kind of reinventing a previous sidewalk committee. We discussed this at a recent City Council work session, and really, I think your resolution, reading it in entirety, tells the whole story. We have a little slide here for the folks at home that want a short, more abbreviated, bulleted recap. But the idea here is essentially that we would create a pedestrian transportation committee to bring together the conversation around both sidewalks and trails. Look at updating what is currently our sidewalk map, moving to a situation where we have the singular map with sidewalks and trail locations identified, and really tapping the resources of our citizens on this committee to look at and prioritize the different places, either within neighborhoods or between neighborhoods and some of these key community destinations that could really use some connectivity. And once those are identified, really helping prioritize which ones should be accomplished first. So that's the goal of the committee, and we've got if the council approves the creation of this committee this evening, we would go out and advertise for the next 30 days, hopefully get some good folks to apply and participate in this discussion, and kick off as shortly thereafter as possible to get the conversation going.
Very good. Yeah, and I just wanted to comment, we had a sidewalk committee last year before, I can't remember.
To review the policy.
In which we had asked them to address the policy, which we did at that time. The key element of that policy change was to attach the sidewalk map to that policy, which it had been disconnected over the years. We recognized at that time, and I said this discussed this, that sidewalk map was old, done in 2008.
It is.
And it was only a sidewalk map. And so in our discussions, there's always been this, or concern, we had a concern that people understand where the sidewalk is and where the trail is, and it's not actually black and white. And so this name, Pedestrian Transportation Committee, was devised to combine, as you say, to combine those two. And the reason for the makeup, the Parks Board is responsible for the trails planning, and we actually have that, so that's why they're a member of this committee, and then we'll pick 4 people from the community to complete the committee. So we'll have them look at both trails and sidewalks. Then their result will go to the Park Board first on its way to the City Council. City Council will appoint all members.
Yes.
Flat out. And then, of course, Parks Board can recommend, Sidewalk Committee recommend, Parks Board can discuss it, and then a recommendation come to us, and we'll make a final decision.
We will definitely carry it out that way.
Very good. Any Other comments? If not, I need to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open. Kathy?
Kathy Hadley, 24 Timberland Drive North, to represent myself. My question is, with the sidewalks, I have been on the sidewalk before and just taken a nice walk and person on a bike goes flying by.
Yeah.
So are we gonna designate, I mean, how do you say, walkers only? You know, people, you wish people would use common sense, but that's an area that's gonna be of concern.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I understand.
that's
Thank
it.
you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's actually a question about, in fact, you brought this up, I think, in our work session. What are, this can be clarified in discussion, what are the laws? Sometimes you can't restrict where vehicles go, bicycles and whatnot. So out of this should come clarity on that as well. Anyone else wish to speak? See no one else indicating, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is closed. As I read this, I don't know if I saw the time frame that this needs to be done in.
It didn't.
I think it's need to be done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that was
We
your
need to
statement
add that.
previously.
Yeah. I mean, to the council before the end of the year.
That was
That
our
fair?
intention.
Yeah, so when we make, whoever makes the motion, please add that if you would.
Mayor,
Yes.
I think it would, for consideration, it would be a better place when you name those people to the committee
Uh-huh.
in the resolution, that you give them the charge at that time. You give those appointed the charge of the committee as well as the deadline. So this is just establishing, this resolution just establishes and allows us to move forward with an advertisement.
Yeah.
It's not giving the full committee their full responsible charge or deadline. So it could wait until
Yeah,
that resolution.
I understand, but we do have section 3 that outlines the responsibilities of them.
And if you really want to be flexible on that, you could say, within 90 days of the time that the committee is fully set. Because I do think you wanted to have a timeline.
Yeah.
And so the end of the year is a good timeline to use, but you could also say a number of days.
It could be August at least, or September before, well, August at
Yeah.
least, before they get named, probably.
That's what I'm getting at, is that by the time you get them on there.
Yeah, okay.
Either way,
Okay, so I agree. We could do it here or do it when we set the committee, but I agree, 90 days is probably a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
And while this says pedestrian, obviously if they're sidewalks, they can ride bikes and whatever else.
Well, I
That
don't
was
know
one
if
of
they
the
can on
questions.
sidewalks, trails, they,
Yeah, we had a real interesting discussion on that, because
yeah.
if a bicyclist is a permitted use on the road, and it's not a permitted use on a sidewalk, then to the comments of Mrs. Hadley, it goes to, concerns about conflicting uses. However, I'd be cautious about going down that path, no pun intended, because
I know.
the question of a 10-year-old I'd rather a 10-year-old riding on the sidewalk
Me
than
too.
riding in the street, so.
Like if I'm going on John McCain, I'm not gonna put my kids on the street.
Right,
I'm gonna
and
go on
so-
the sidewalk.
I think that's why we're talking about pedestrian transportation, because pedestrian in the definition could be walking, bicycle, skateboard, rollerblades,
Oh, okay.
scooter, just no motorized transportation. But I do think you're right, that eventually you may get into that question, where are bicyclists designated? And especially those who are riding at longer distances and higher rates of speed, who are more serious riders. Traditionally, we keep them either on the roads or on the cotton belt.
Yeah,
But
but on 26, you probably don't want to.
26, right, on 26,
On a 3-lane highway.
that's correct. I would expect an adult who's on a serious rider to be on 26 pavement, but I would expect a child to be on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And so we've got to be very careful with those designations, and that's why just being generic at this point helps, because as the mayor mentioned, the definition of a sidewalk and trail, traditionally it's been differentiated by size.
I didn't know a
There's some areas-
pedestrian, I didn't know a definition of pedestrian was any kind of bike or anything like that.
Well,
That was what I just said. I don't know that would necessarily
No,
qualify across the board.
no,
but I think it's-
they are. Once they put their foot down, they're a pedestrian, so they kind of are both, a bicycle, non-motorized.
But I'm just trying to get out of hardline definitions.
I know.
Because we have a unique situation here. We don't have an urbanized environment where we have trails and bike lanes on roads everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we want to be a little bit more cautious in that designation.
I don't think we have to worry about it like a cyclist group of 15 or 20 guys rolling down John McCain on a tiny sidewalk.
No, they
You
don't.
know,
do-
I
They
don't
don't
think we'll
do
have
that.
that problem.
They're on
No,
the
but
road.
if you.
They don't wanna be on the
Right, they're going to be on the street, but what I'm
Right.
saying is if you say bicyclists are prohibited from the sidewalks, you're encouraging others who are less skilled riders to not be on the sidewalk.
Right, I don't
I'm
wanna
not
do
so
that.
sure that's a
I'm
good
not
idea
for
either.
I don't
That,
either.
that's a tough situation. I know what she's talking about because I've almost had a heart attack before. You know, if you've got music in a little bit and you're over to the side, they come by you. I'm surprised we haven't had a police officer have to go out and,
Yeah.
you know, do CPR on somebody. But it is a problem, and I think it needs to be addressed in there.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Great conversation.
Very good. Motion is in order.
How
Do you have the ordinance number?
Yeah.
Can somebody tell me what I need to include?
Yeah.
I'll do, I don't-
Resolution R194394.
I move
Make a
the,
motion to approve Resolution R194394
394.
394, with was there an addition to this one?
no.
No, there was not, excuse me.
I'll second.
oh, I
There you
thought
go.
it was
Kevin. Motion approved by Councilmember Nakamura, second by Mayor Pro Tem Linda Mood. May I open the vote? Motion is approved, the resolution is approved. Thank you. Moving to agenda item number 10, citizen comments. We have a card, Kathy Hadley.
Kathy Hadley, 204 Timberline Drive North, to represent myself. I've got several here, I'll talk quickly. First is the lane identification on Glade west of Colleyville Boulevard. Y'all have already at one time marked the lanes, but then there's an area where they didn't mark them. And people are just kind of wiggling all around, just for a very short time. It's real close to the turn-in, around the area of the turn-in for the Walmart grocery store. It's in that general area, but they do need to be marked better right in that area. And then lane markings on the street light as you're going facing east, but you're on the west side of 26 facing east. It would be great, and I've said this before, to talk to TxDOT to put up signs on the street light. What the right lane, there's a sign, cannot turn right on red. So you go straight from this right lane, or wait, I can't remember now, but anyway, you go straight from this right lane, or you can turn right on red. And then this left lane, you have to turn left. Well, I don't even know if there's a sign back behind you as you're driving it that says left lane must turn left. Needless to say, as you're sitting there at the light, you're looking up at the light, there's nothing to remind the driver they're supposed to go left. And I just had somebody lay their hand on the horn and just, because I went straight like I'm supposed to, and the car in front of me decided they wanted to turn into after the crossover 26, they wanted to turn right and go into that shopping area. And so I just went up, left lane should have been open because that person was supposed to go left, but they're laying on the horn. It's like, well, I laid on my horn back at her. So, and I understand that she didn't know. There's no identification ahead where you were taught to look up at the street light that this lane has to go right after you stop and no right turn on red, whatever the sign says. And left lane, you have to go left. But I don't know if there's a sign, like I said, further back. But anyway, you're directed. You guys need to get on TxDOT and tell them they need to put a sign up there. Somebody's gonna get hurt. And if y'all need me as a citizen to do it, I will. Also, stopping for the geese at the Bluebonnet and Riverwalk yesterday, it was so pleasant. And we do need to get up an area where people watch out for the geese, but right there, I was on Riverwalk going to Market Street, on Riverwalk coming up, I was on Bluebonnet coming up to Riverwalk, and I stopped at the stop sign, and here were the geese coming from across Market Street, across the median, and coming across, and there was nobody behind me, so I just stopped to let them come on across. And then by the time they're like lollygagging across, I have three cars behind me. So my mom jumps out of the car and gets out and kind of whooshes them along to hurry up. And this first group goes across, and then here comes another group from Market Street. You guys, please talk with the Parks Director, putting out some plants over there by the community center for these geese, so they don't have to go across the street to Market Street. They're going across the street to get more food, whatever, and to kind of hunker down, build their nests, whatever. And I've spoken with some of y'all before. Please talk to the Parks Director and make it more accessible for the geese to stay off the road and have the plants and everything there by the community center, so they don't need to be on the road. The ducks really make Colleyville unique. Christine, I went to her office and I was showing her 2 wonderful children's books that are real true life stories about the geese. And there's a story about geese that they go from out at the fountain, they come into the hotel, and they go back out to the fountains, and that's true. But anyway, the geese are something that make Colleyville special. Also, today, may I speak? I'm almost done, about 2 more. Okay. Today, I went to, my son wanted to get a fitness membership, and I noticed, I sat in the car and I waited, he went, they're closed. The fitness store by the Walmart grocery store is gone. What are we need to help our businesses out. And I'm sure y'all understand why they're gone or whatever, but I was floored. They've been there for a while and they're gone. And then the trouble I turned on in my rushing around, I turned on y'all's pre-council meeting and the volume was horrible. So whoever oversees that on TV said, ugh, could not even understand y'all. Like, the volume was horrible. Okay, the flooding at the Colleyville Nature Center. I hope that maybe the Parks Director and maybe some of y'all had an opportunity to go out to Colleyville Nature Center and assess the area as a good location on where to put that bathroom that y'all are gonna be putting in at Colleyville Nature Center. What a wonderful opportunity to see a good high spot that would be safe to put the bathroom. And that's it. Y'all do an awesome job, and I love all of you, and I really appreciate the time and effort you put into serving the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hadley, what business were you talking about that was gone?
Fit for Life? Okay,
The
I
one
can't
Fit for
remember
Life.
the name.
Next to the right of Walmart.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, as
Gotcha.
you're looking at Walmart,
Okay.
it's to the right.
Yeah.
And I was shocked.
Yeah.
My son's like, I'm gonna get a workout, and so membership, so we
Okay.
went, and their door's
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Yeah, Kathy, I know I'm not supposed to talk to you either, but what channel are,
It's channel 16.
It's our PEG channel.
Yeah.
Spectrum.
which one, what is it? Frontier
Spectrum.
or
Spectrum.
Spectrum?
Yeah, it's
16
Oh,
or
okay.
17.
bad.
Yeah, that
16.
happens
Yeah.
and they have to get with the vendor. to-
And I don't
We have a
know.
vendor that does that
Okay,
transfer,
and,
and the,
Yeah, it's what it is, it's the PEG channel that they provide as part of the franchise.
right.
And over the years, the quality has gotten worse in the broadcast quality. And so it's got some static background that kind of
it's awful.
is terrible.
Yeah,
And,
the
and,
sound gets bad.
yeah,
Do they
You can
have-
always watch it on your TV, on your,
it's
on
better to
your
watch it
computer.
online now.
Yeah, online.
Online is really taking
Understand.
over.
But you have to sit down to watch it online. I'm like going like this around the house and the TV's on and I've got it on and I can hear y'all.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do they still have to provide that PEG channel? I thought
think
they changed that.
I don't know, but they
No,
do,
it's-
and they don't provide it very well.
I know, but I think the reason they don't do it very well is they don't have to do it.
That could be the franchise agreement could have been
Yeah,
expired or didn't include it anymore, but
Yeah.
that's a throwback to the
Yeah,
day when
yeah.
cable had a high percentage of the market.
about 3 years
Yeah.
ago, that I was trying to watch it on TV,
Yeah.
and I got with Chris, and he said there's a subcontractor that passes them, you know,
Yeah.
somehow gets a code across, and they fixed it. Whatever that was, they had to do, they fixed it. So I think probably you're not monitoring it well.
Yeah.
I've checked it multiple times, and I always notice that problem you're talking about, and I've talked about it a couple times, and never seem to be able to get it any better, but we can find out from Chris.
Okay, so agenda item 10 is reports, Colleyville Library Board minutes. Anybody have any questions or comments? No. Item 11 is ending resolution we do not need, so now I'm going to adjourn if there's no objection.
Yes, I'm done.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Rough crowd, huh? Rough crowd.
Rough crowd.
I'm gonna ask some more questions.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I picked 9:30 today, so I was an optimist.
Yeah, you were, yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Tim, Tammy, don't drink her coffee.